Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Cybersecurity Amplified and Intensified, the #1 cybersecurity podcast with your host, Eric Taylor, and myself, Shiva Maharaj. I'd like to thank Vince Crisler from Darkcube for coming on once again. Eric and I have a little pet project, I want to say inspired by the boys and gals over at Recorded Future in helping the effort in Ukraine. Vince, welcome.
Thank you. It's always fun to be here and chat with you guys.
Love having you, bud. So yeah, I mean, we on Twitter yesterday was, I was always wondering, like, how's the InfoSec community really going to get together and really help out? All right. And I seen Recorded Futures, the CIO, pointed out, I was like, yeah, we're not neutral. We're going to stand with Ukraine. I'm like, I was like, great. Barricade Cyber, we're not going to be neutral either. I'm going to stand with the InfoSec community. I mean, Granted, I personally don't think what Russia's doing is, good in any way, shape, or form, but, that's a little bit too political. Not going to go down that rabbit hole, but, we're, I'm doing what I can to partner with other InfoSec community leaders and companies to help the global fight. So doing my little small part, and that's kind of what brought us to this whole conversation today.
To that end, I believe I speak on Eric's behalf here when I say Continuum and Barricade Cyber will start by offering CrowdStrike and Darkcube to customers who want to get up and running to a certain security state very quickly. And there's no limits on what we'll do in that respect.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll talk about this a little bit more as we go through this one. And this is definitely not to sell anybody anything, but we want to make sure we're helping, right? And, we'll figure all that stuff out, later on down the line. But if you're in the US, you're in, the Ukraine, and you're trying to figure out how to protect your business, you've always had that what if, I don't know type of question floating around the back of your mind, please reach out. We would much rather get our stuff implemented, get you protected, and then start to work on, all your other stuff and figure all that other garbage out. It's kind of where we stand right now.
Yeah, and absolutely. I mean, we are in a full scale shooting war in Ukraine, and cyber is going to be a big part of this war. Space is going to be a big part of this war, whether it's the Russians or other people taking advantage of it. So, it's a fine line that folks in the InfoSec community have to watch of trying to appear opportunistic or taking advantage of situations like this and being mission driven. And that's one of the things I've always appreciated about this group here and kind of the other discussions we've had is, this is about the mission of protecting these small and mid-sized companies. So it's to see Recorded Future come out and kind of make those comments yesterday. Another favorite company of mine is Gray Noise. Andrew Morris, like, he came out pretty strongly yesterday as well, and his Twitter rant basically was like, anybody that's involved with Ukraine or has Ukrainian IP or is doing anything to help Ukraine has a free pro license with us, and we're going to automatically opt you out of any marketing communications going forward. So you're going to have full rights, and we're not going to market to you because this is about the mission. And I think this is the first major conflict in the modern era where I think commercial companies are going to be involved in protecting small and medium businesses globally.
Absolutely.
Well, other than the fact that I love Darkcube and you guys are doing a fantastic job, one of the reasons Darkcube was first on my list of, and I hate to call you vendors because I like you that much, but list of my vendors to do something with is because of the sanctions that were deployed to limit the export of technology. To me, 1 + 1 equals incursion by hackers into domestic companies to exfiltrate data. And what's the best first line of defense, in my opinion? Good firewall with good logging and Darkcube on it.
Yep. Yeah, we talked about last time.
Complicated.
It's not. I mean, and it really is making sure that you're leveraging the right tools and the right technology to satisfy the mission of security, right? Shiva can bring up I hate the onion picture if he wants to, but there we go. I knew it. I blame the onion. And he's very much susceptible to it, right? So it's companies just need to leverage the proper technology to achieve the goal. I think simplicity is good.
I think simplicity is where it has to be. And you take something like a Darkcube that's going to look at your IPs, your communications, and parse them. And depending on how you set it, auto block or raise alerts for you, combined with a solid endpoint protection platform like a CrowdStrike. Definitely not Red Root children. And that's what we are looking to help you guys deploy. This is not about sales. It's not about anything like or FUD. I don't want to use fear to sell anything, but I do think every business has a responsibility to raise their cybersecurity standard to help the country, because the more cyber attacks that happen on domestic companies is the further or the more thinly spread law enforcement resources will have to be. So let's give them a helping hand by raising our game a little bit.
And from the InfoSec, I'm sure Vince will agree, but when I'm always talking about logging everything. So like when we have CrowdStrike and they're doing their acquisition of Humio to bring in that entire XDR platform, being able to look at that, being able to look at what Darkcube is giving us. As an InfoSec guy, we're starting to get real granular information, right? And we can start seeing emerging threats coming into your network and be able to potentially stop these things. That's why we partner with these companies. So, even if you don't go with Barricade, you don't go with Continuum, go reach out to Vince, reach out to Cameron over there at CrowdStrike, talk to them. They'll tell you we're good guys, right? But you don't have to come through us. I mean, just partner with these companies.
I have a question for Vince. Vince, do you guys have a partner listing that's easily available on your website where companies can acquire Darkcube? Because again, it doesn't have to be through myself or Eric.
Yeah,
go get Darkcube is my story.
Mm-hmm.
We do not have a partner listing on the website, but we are 100% channel. So if a small business were to reach out to us, we would find a partner that's in that area with them and turn that contact.
Is there a phone number or an email address that we can use, or that people can reach out to you if they don't have an IT provider, for you to put them with someone?
So if you just get info at darkcubed.com, darkcubed.com, and we'll get you to the right spot.
That is awesome.
Yeah, I think, again, like I think there's a lot of discussion about this war and about the concerns around cyber. And if we just look in recent memory at the disaster that was Log4j, right? This is a vulnerability that was on, an unknown number of systems all over the place. And look at how hard it was for the IT and security community to get their hands around it. And that was just kind of an out of the blue discovery of a 0-day. There are documented 0 days that Russian actors are working with, and they have a mission and a reason to start to use cyber to their benefit. I mean, we hear on the national stage, the West, NATO is supportive of Ukraine, but I don't think we're going to see NATO boots on the ground because it creates too many other complicated issues. The approach that's been publicly stated so far is sanctions, ratcheting up sanctions against Russia, the wealthy elite in Russia, the everyday citizen in Russia, and we believe that sanctions will put enough pressure on Russia over the next 30, 60, or 90 days. Biden in his press conference the other day said, we'll see in 30 days how the sanctions are working. So this is a long-term protracted thing. And when Russia starts to feel the pressure of sanctions, what you do is you lash out and you put pressure on other people. And, we are going to see, I'm fine to state it, like we're going to see attacks against small and medium-sized infrastructure companies on our critical infrastructure, small power companies, small gas and oil companies.
Financial.
Folks in the financial services, like the big banks are really nervous right now. To me, it's the small banks. I mean, what we've seen, especially over the last 5 years or so, is Russia is incredibly good at propaganda, right? They're good at manipulating social media. You don't have to take down Bank of America to cause mass hysteria. You can take down a credit union in Iowa. And this is what we're going to start to see is, I think if this pressure stays where it is, attacks on small and medium companies, because they're super easy to hit, they're unprotected. And that has me really concerned.
Well, I think my personal opinion is the Credit Suisse leaks from last weekend were a precursor to that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Nothing to see in there.
No, not at all. I mean, it's nothing like the Panama Papers, right? or anything that preceded it before. Interesting read for those of you who are interested in that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it's an interesting way to give a veiled threat to companies on how to react to sanctions, especially where Credit Suisse is, they're a Swiss company, correct? Unless I'm mistaken.
Could be.
Everyone's everywhere these days. But anyway, I digress.
And again, we also know like this isn't just about Russia. I don't think it was circumstantial or by accident that a Chinese company last week released that report on hacking activities they attribute to the U.S. intelligence community, right? Like putting that stuff out there in the public sphere right now, like times are going to get really interesting, and I think it's easy for us to say, I've heard 0 days, I've heard hacks, I've heard ransomware, I'm just numb to it. Like this is different.
Yep.
Full stop.
Exactly. Couldn't be said better.
So Eric, sorry. Vince, I like to play a game with Eric where I put him on the spot. So I'm going to do that to you today. I apologize.
Yay!
With peace and love. What are the top 3 things you think companies should do to harden their defenses cybersecurity wise?
So when you get into a situation like this, you don't necessarily have a lot of time. You can't deploy a bunch of new stuff. So number one, I would call running the traps. If you've got backup systems in place, look at them, look at the logs, touch the backups, make sure they're working. If you do nothing else, just make sure that those backups are working the way they are and get an offline backup, just in case things get, we've seen these wiper attacks hitting Ukrainian systems, things getting taken down. Just get a recent backup of that data, make sure things are working. 2, this is an opportunity. You have the full backing of news and press and FUD out there to get systems patched. If you're a service provider, if your internal IT and management has been pushing back on patching because they don't want to deal with downtime, now's the time to do it. Do the Windows updates, get everything patched, get things where they need to be. This is a great way to do it. And then 3rd, on the logging and monitoring side, you're not going to know if something has changed if you're being attacked if you don't have visibility. And this is where the discussions have come in, an MDR, a dark cube, something there to be able to say, all of a sudden there's a lot of bad stuff happening on this network and we need to do something. If you don't, I don't want to oversimplify it by calling it a smoke detector, but if you don't have a smoke detector in a house, you're not going to know that there's a fire until it's burnt down. And
anything for honorable mention outside of your top 3?
I just, to me, those are the 3 things I'd be focusing on right now.
Okay. You mentioned the wiper attacks. I don't know much about it, so maybe you guys do. I'm assuming there's some type of command and control infrastructure in play there. Have you guys seen any of that traffic yet?
I haven't been digging into that. What we've been working internally is, what are the data sources we have that might have indications of these attacks, ramping up, kind of hands-on, looking for trends and patterns in our data set, making sure our customers are aware, working with our MSPs to make sure they have the support that they need. So we haven't necessarily been focused on the wiper attacks, but there's plenty of good reporting out there on this.
There is, and I've been digging into a lot of that, but that's really, it's something to be alarmed about and everything. But I do think it's going to be something that should be for another episode, because I could go on an 1.5-hour tangent on that whole garbage. So it needs to say it's a mess. Okay. A lot of smoke and mirrors in that thing.
That's it for me, unless you guys have anything else.
No, that's it for me. I was trying to get the message out. If you need help, reach out. Even if it's not us, reach out to somebody. Yeah. Reach out to Vince. Reach out to people. Get help. That's really what I want to scream from the top of freaking Mount Everest right now.
And I will say, and again, I'm going to put words in Eric's mouth, because why else would I do these things? If you decide to go with CrowdStrike and Darkcube and you decide to give us a call, we will do the implementation at no cost for you guys, just to get you up and running with what we believe are solid platforms.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it's times like this, I think, that separate, for lack of a better term, the wheat from the chaff around the vendor community. So folks that are being opportunistic and just trying to sell more and use FUD, and folks that are trying to find ways to help. And I think, for people that are out there that are nervous or concerned, hopefully you have a vendor or a partner in your ecosystem that you can reach out to and ask for help, and they're not, they'll point you in the right direction. And I know, the three of us on this session are, that way. Like, I don't care if it benefits me or not. If you need help, I'm going to point you to the right way. If you need a contact in government because something strange has happened, I can get you pointed to the right person. If you need a vendor for some technology X, Y, or Z, just let me know. I can point you to the trusted contacts. This is a time to be kind of banding together and, making sure we're ready for the worst that could happen.
Yeah, because I've said it all the time, especially in the IR space. I got contacts at Mandiant, Kroll, Coveware, things like that. I mean, I'm happy to make those connections. Like I said, anything I can do, my team can do. I know Shiva and Vince are the same way. Like I said, I'll scream it as much as I can until people tell me to shut the F up.
And just to recap, if you decide you don't want the awesomeness that is Eric Taylor and myself, info@darkcube.com, and they will get you matched up with an IT provider in their stable, so to speak.
Absolutely.
Ladies and gentlemen and ghouls that are out there on the internet, if you have made it this far, thank you so much for tuning in for yet another episode of amplifiedandintensified.com. You know what? A recent change to the platform. Shiva has put together a new website, amplifiedandintensified.com. If you have heard anything that you have liked about this podcast and you want to engage Shiva or myself, or be able to help sponsor by donating us some coffee, all the links of our calendars, buying us coffee, past episodes of both the podcast and the YouTube version are all now on amplifiedandintensified.com. Go there for all of your needs. Thank you so much. And until next time, take care.